where do I begin? Hi guys, my name is Alex and I talk about porn a lot on this channel and how terrible porn is for you, how it really just kind of removes any semblance of yourself, how it just really removes any motivation, any drive to do anything, any ambition, and it really saps you sexually, and it causes all kind of sexual dysfunction and all that kind of stuff you don't want. Well, anyway, today we are going over the story of my porn addiction, what happened to me, how I got addicted, how I broke that addiction and moved on with my life, and what I experienced during that long, crazy journey in my life. So we'll start back from the beginning. So I am a maybe 14-year-old boy, and I am really actually a naive kid at that point. I didn't really even know what sex was, and which is kind of embarrassing when I look back, because now I see young people all the time with their smartphones at age 10. They've already seen hardcore porn, and they already know what sex is and all that kind of stuff, and I'm thinking back at my amazing, naive childhood and wishing other people had that experience, I guess. But so there I am. And, you know, my dad works with computers, and so we have this computer, and it's a gaming computer, and I'm 14, and I'm ready to play video games on dial-up internet. And my best friend comes over, and he is, like, telling me, like, you have got to see this. This is crazy. This is the most amazing thing I've ever seen. And he immediately proceeds to connect to the internet and pull up like the most basic pixelated picture of a naked woman he could find probably on the internet back then. And from there, I guess I was kind of hooked. Now, I will say I didn't really know what to do with these pictures. I wasn't like masturbating at that point, but I knew they were cool, and I was like, wow, I like seeing this. And I didn't even know why I liked seeing it. And so after that, occasionally I would pull up these pictures, going back to the site that he showed me back in those days, and I was like, this is cool and awesome, and I wish I had this sooner probably. But see, I still didn't really know what sex was or how sex was performed, and I didn't really even know why I liked the images I was seeing and liking. And so it was kind of this confusing time for me. But I still liked seeing the pornography, so I kept going back. So fast forward a couple years and we get DSL, which is a faster internet compared to dial-up. And this is where it really began, I think, because now you could watch videos online without having to wait like a year for your video to download. So there I am, and now there are videos, and so that's a whole new world for me. And I really got introduced to this because I had an older brother, and I would see kind of what he was seeing on the computer that we shared. And so that is kind of the beginning of watching videos, porn videos. And I was probably 15, which seems really young when I look back on it, thinking about how naive I was back then, but when I think about it now and how much access kids have these days when they're given smartphones at age 10, it's scary, because I know how negatively this impacted me, and I know how negatively it will impact a lot of young people. So around 15, 16, I discovered masturbation. Somehow, I don't remember exactly how, but then I realized that, you know, porn can kind of lead to this masturbation thing, and that's fun. And that was the only kind of sexual stimulus I had when I was that age, and so it was like awesome. And when you're that age, if you remember being that age, then that kind of stuff is amazing because you're super horny and it's all new to you, and that makes it even more fun. Fast forward till I was about 17, and I'm ready to have my first sexual experience. I had been watching porn since 14 and masturbating to porn, and I get to my first sexual experience at 17, and I can't get hard. And I'm like, why is this? I can get hard watching porn, but shouldn't I get hard with a real life partner? Isn't that kind of how it works? And so back then I thought it was because I was really nervous, and I was probably contributing to it, but I tried again, still at 17, and I could not get fully hard unless I tried to think about porn, and then I still couldn't get as hard as I would be had I watched porn. And so I should have seen it back then that it was a problem and that porn was causing it, but hindsight is 2020, and I did not know that porn was causing that for me. So I kind of wrote off sex for a while until I was maybe 22, which seems crazy from going from age 17 to not having sex for like 5 years. But I was like, sex isn't that good. I don't even get that aroused. Porn is so much better, so why don't I just stay with porn? And the crazy thing is that I didn't watch porn that much. I watched it like 1 or 2 times a week, and I've seen people nowadays that watch it every day, multiple times a day, and so I was even kind of a light user, and that was the impact it had on me. And I think the reason it had that impact is because my very first sexual experiences, my sexual awakening was images online and videos of other people online, and it really distorted my view of sex and relationships and everything. And at age about 22, I wanted to have sex again, and again I couldn't. And it made me so bitter. It made me bitter about sex because I couldn't have it. And it made me kind of hate sex, and it made me kind of hate the idea of having sex, which is crazy because of the position I'm in now as a sex coach. But, sometimes these experiences really illuminate things for you, and my experience with porn really did, and I hope it'll help illuminate things for you if you are experiencing the same things. But anyway, around age 23 or so, I realized, because I saw a random thing on the internet, yourbrainonporn.com, and I was like, oh, I have all these issues. I am socially anxious, I am depressed, I am suicidal, I am almost asexual, I don't even want sex, but I want porn, and I can't get hard during sex, and all these symptoms that site was listing was like, that was me. And I was just completely shocked that I felt depressed and I felt suicidal, and that porn could possibly be the cause of those things. And so that blew my mind, and from then on I was like, I'm gonna quit and I'm never going back. I also had a best friend that we kind of, the saying, misery loves company, we kind of wallowed in each other's depression and suicidal thoughts. It was kind of like we could bounce ideas off of each other, these same depressed, suicidal ideas, and it felt good to have someone that shared the same thoughts as us. And the other thing that we had in common was that we both watched porn, and we both masturbated to porn. And I thought, wow, this guy might also have these problems because of porn. And so I reached out to him and tried to get him to stop as well. He didn't, but we'll get onto that later. That was where my stopping porn addiction, I guess, however you would phrase that, that is where I cut it off at age 23. I really made the effort to stop watching porn. So how did this go? How was this experience for me? Well, for about 4 years maybe, I would go about 30 days without porn, and then I would relapse. And I would go 40 days without porn, and then I would relapse. Then I would watch porn every day for 3 days. And then I would go 50 days and relapse. And I fell into this pattern of longer streaks and then relapse, and then longer streaks and then relapse. And I never really felt any improvement. And it almost made me feel worse about myself, because I was like, I am so pathetic that I can't even quit this. It's such a powerful addiction that I can't even quit. And at that point, I considered myself a really disciplined person with my diet and my exercise and all that kind of stuff. And this was something that my discipline didn't seem to be able to overcome, and that was really hard for me to come to terms with. So I am quitting porn, and I do my longest streak yet. And this really changed my life because I finally hit what is called the flat line, and that is basically the withdrawal symptoms of a porn addiction. And basically what happens is when you go without porn, your brain is missing that, and it's used to that, and it wants it. And so you kind of get these withdrawals, and the withdrawal symptoms is that your brain doesn't want anything anymore. Everything sucks. There is no pleasure to be found in anything in life. You are basically not a sexual being whatsoever. Your penis shrinks to as small as humanly possible, and you really don't want any sexual things at all whatsoever. And the first time this happened to me, I was scared and I was terrified. I was like, is this the real me? Is this me without porn? Because I don't want this. And so in my fear, I went back and watched porn. And I was shocked because I actually felt better after I watched porn. I felt more like my normal self, where stuff tasted good and music sounded good and all this kind of stuff. So I did some research and I found out that that flat line exists, and that's what it was. And then I was like, oh, you idiot. I was so close. The flat line was like something that was telling me that I was on the right track because I was actually withdrawing. And these were symptoms that other people had experienced. And I threw it away. And so I definitely wanted to highlight that, because if you go into that pitfall, you're going to want to test your sexuality, trust me, because you feel like this asexual being, and it's hard to wrap your head around, and you want to test, like, am I actually asexual? Can I still get hard? Does my penis still work? And it is really a trap. It's that withdrawal symptom, it is that flat line. So once I knew that, though, it gave me the power to go the longest I had ever gone without porn. And I started to come out of the flat line because it had been like 100 days or so. And I felt like I was starting to feel things again and like experience things almost for the first time again. Food started tasting amazing. Music was like blowing my mind. I invested in surround sound music equipment because I just wanted to immerse myself in music because it was so good and awesome. And I felt this amazing thing, and I was feeling happier about myself and more fulfilled because I had done this thing, and I was like, felt like I was like coming out of it and like almost ready to be me, the real me. And I felt more social, I felt happier, like I said. And so I went back and reached out to my friend, and I was like, hey, this is awesome. You should try this. You should do this. It's going to get worse before it gets better because you'll go through that flat line. But I told him I really feel like I'm onto something, and that this is life-changing and life-altering. And he didn't take it too well. Maybe it wasn't good on my part. Maybe I was kind of giving advice where I shouldn't have and interjecting into his life. But we were such close friends that I thought it wouldn't do anything. But it did. And I, for some reason, lost him forever. He disappeared from my life. And I think maybe because I was not his kind of partner in crime anymore. We couldn't really relate on the depression and suicide anymore. And that really hurt me, because he was one of my best friends and I couldn't really understand it. But now when I look back on it, I think that relationship was kind of toxic because we both just kind of fed into that depression and suicidal ideation and kind of constant existential crisis mode. But anyway, shortly after I lost him, I met a woman. And I met this girl, and she was like the most perfect girl of all time, and I couldn't believe it. And she actually had a porn problem too, and so we kind of both worked with each other and quit porn at the same time. And it has been the best thing that's ever happened to me. She is my best friend by far, and you know, we both have kind of conquered the porn thing together. But I will say, quitting porn was the hardest thing I've ever done, but it was the most rewarding and best thing I have ever done. So if any of my story sounds like something you guys have gone through, then take the leap and quit watching porn. It has changed my life forever. I am happier, I am more social, I have more motivation to do things, I have more ambition, I have accomplished so much more in my life in that short time that I have been without porn. I have accomplished more in that period than I had for the 10 years I was addicted and trying to quit porn. So it will change your life forever. And I wanted to share this story to hopefully help someone else out that may be experiencing these same issues, depression, social anxiety, and sexual dysfunction, and they don't realize that porn is causing all of that. Get out there, stop watching porn, do what is best for you, and yeah, I really hope that you succeed in this, and I have a feeling that you can and you will. Bye, guys.